By the 1970s, the debt trap Patterson, Rothschild, and Morgan built was functioning globally. Every developed nation borrowed, rolled over debt, paid interest. But developing nations were different. They borrowed for infrastructure, and many couldn't keep up payments. The debt trap was reaching its limits, until Paul Volcker made it permanent. Volcker was Federal Reserve Chairman from 1979 to 1987, and he faced a problem. Inflation was over 10%. U.S. credibility was eroding. Foreign governments were losing faith in the dollar. He needed to stop inflation, even if it meant causing a recession. So in 1979, Volcker raised interest rates dramatically. The federal funds rate went from 11% to 20%, the highest in American history. This crushed inflation. But it had another effect. Developing nations had borrowed billions in dollars during the 1970s when rates were low. Now those loans were due, and the interest rates had tripled. Mexico owed $80 billion, Brazil $60 billion, Argentina $40 billion, and they couldn't pay. The interest alone exceeded their export revenues. In August 1982, Mexico announced it couldn't make payments. Default. This should have triggered global financial collapse. American banks had lent most of that money. If Mexico defaulted, Citibank, Bank of America, Chase Manhattan, all would take massive losses. Some might fail. The entire banking system was at risk. Volcker could have let it happen. Let the banks take losses. Let the market clear. But he didn't. Instead, he orchestrated a bailout through the International Monetary Fund. The IMF would lend Mexico, Brazil, Argentina, and others enough money to keep making interest payments to American banks. The loans were called structural adjustment loans, and they came with conditions. The conditions were brutal. Governments had to cut spending, privatize state assets, open markets to foreign investment, devalue currencies, basically dismantle their economic sovereignty in exchange for the money to keep paying interest. And here's the key. The IMF loans didn't reduce debt. They just rolled it over, made it manageable, but permanent. This is the Volcker innovation. When debt becomes unpayable, don't forgive it, restructure it, lend enough to keep interest payments flowing, and extract political and economic concessions in exchange. The debt trap became a tool of control. Countries that couldn't pay were forced to open their economies, sell their assets, and submit to foreign economic policy in exchange for the privilege of staying in debt. This pattern has repeated for 40 years. Greece in 2010, Argentina in 2001, Sri Lanka in 2022, every time the same structure. IMF loans to keep paying interest, austerity imposed, sovereignty surrendered. And the debt never eliminated, just restructured, made perpetual. Volcker died in 2019. But his legacy is the mechanism that ensures the debt trap is global and inescapable. Even when countries can't pay, they're not allowed to default. They're refinanced into permanent indebtedness. And the interest keeps flowing to the creditors. The same banks, the same institutions, the same system Patterson created in 1694. Now let me show you how these four architects built a system where debt is infinite and escape is impossible. Start with Patterson's model. Government borrows, pays interest forever, never repays principal. Add Rothschild's innovation, make the debt tradable globally. So it's not one creditor, it's a web. Default collapses the system. Add Morgan's mechanism. Central banks create money to buy government bonds. Unlimited demand. Government can always borrow more. Add Volcker's trap. When countries can't pay, restructure, don't forgive, keep the interest flowing. The result is what we have today. $315 trillion in global debt. Government debt, corporate debt, household debt. None of it will ever be repaid. All of it pays interest. And all of it is connected through the financial system. So default anywhere threatens collapse everywhere. Here's the specific mechanism. The U.S. government issues $38 trillion in debt. Who owns it? About $20 trillion is owned by the American public. Pension funds, mutual funds,